having me, and it's wonderful to see so many wonderful fellow artists and friendly faces in the audience. I appreciate you guys coming out. And you know, as a mixed media artist, with my work, it's always my intent to make people see graffiti and street art differently. So when someone says I'm a street art artist, that's not exactly true. I'm primarily a photographer, a mixed media artist, and a person that works with photography in a collage format. However, all of my work is derived from my little tiny photos of graffiti and street art. Each of these paintings here are collages, and they're featuring little bits and pieces of fragments that I have gathered and photographed like found objects that I totally repurposed into new works of art. And this is all done by hand. So while it starts out in the digital world, it comes out as a mixed media piece. So this is a little shot from my studio. And how I work is that I do show at exhibitions. The top show is from Words, Gestures, and Landmarks, a solo show at Arts KC. I've included some of the corporate work. This is from now showing through the Arts KC program, private commissions and collaborations. And I really fell in love with graffiti when my husband and I moved to LA back in 2007. I had always dabbled in art, but I wasn't a full-time artist. I had been in sales for 18 years. And I worked with advertising agencies and design firms, and so I was always involved with working with artists and production artists and making my art just on the side. But when we moved to LA, and I found myself very close to Otis College of Art and Design, I said, this is my time. This is the time that I'm going to go back and devote to art. So I started attending Otis, and in LA, this is where I fell in love with graffiti and street art. And when I mean I fell in love with it, I fell in love with kind of like the bold lines and gestures and textures, and I really, the graphic quality and the colors. And so when I'm photographing graffiti, I'm really looking for that. Not like a whole big wall, not something that you would see in Kansas City, like Scribe's work is wonderful, Sykes' work is wonderful, but that's not what I photograph. I photograph the back alleys. I'm looking for a really grungy wall, a little bit of texture, a little bit of a line, a fragment that I'm going to repurpose later on. And since 2007, I have photographed in lots of countries all over the world. Some of my favorites, the very top middle one is from a recent trip to Melbourne, which is one of the best cities for graffiti and street art. If you're a graffiti and street art tourist, you definitely would want to go to Melbourne. It's just fantastic. But this is a compilation of all different cities, Liverpool, London, Montreal, Rotterdam, Belgium. I've been very fortunate to be able to travel and do this, and it's something that I truly, truly love. And so when I talk about little fragments, that's what I'm talking about. Not like the really pretty stuff. I want the really raw elements that I can work with. So I actually take them out of my photographs and extract them, and then it all starts with a huge layering process. And these are some panels across the top that I made for an exhibit at Art and Artful Food at Michael Smith. And it kind of shows the progression of how I start with the paint and then the layering and the transferring of the little fragments. And then these are the completed pieces here. And then these were some works on paper for that same exhibit. Oh gosh, marketing challenges and needs. Well, my primary resource for marketing is social media, word of mouth, and then also I do really participate in Arts KC's Now Showing program. It's been a wonderful program for me. It's resulted in several sales, commissions. It's been great. I've been challenged to decide what to do with my website. It's okay, I built it. It's great, but I don't think it's driving anything for me, and I really need to decide what to do that. Like you said, telling a story. I don't think my website tells a story right now, and I realize that I need to do that. And unfortunately, when I'm hunting for graffiti, I am out like 6 or 8 hours by myself, walking in alleys and tunnels, and there's no one filming me, and I have to figure out how to do that. Like, do I strap a GoPro camera on my head and start talking and walking around? But maybe I do, maybe that's what I need to do so I can start telling stories on Instagram, because I really want to up my game, and I think that's what I need to start doing. And I did invest in a large format printer, and I want to start making prints of my work, but where do I sell that? Do I sell it on Etsy? It's another thing, so I need to figure out how to do that, or do I have an e-commerce solution on my website? And I need to be more disciplined in how I pursue online art retailers. Like this week, I applied to 3 calls for art as far as kind of having an online presence, but I need to see how I'm going to do that. I need to carve out time every week on a certain hour at a certain time, stop everything, and that's what I'm going to do. But I tend to be a little bit more reactionary on getting things done versus planning, which is big. And the balance between making and marketing, I think every artist faces that challenge because we want to be in the studio making, but we need to market what we make, so we sell it. The goal, as I talked about, is to increase my online social media presence. I'm fairly regular about posting on Instagram, but I want to make it in a way that's more branded and my approach more consistent. Revamping the website, developing a strategy for online sales. And since I travel so much, I have a lot of travel photos that aren't graffiti related, and I'd like to capitalize on that and have that maybe as a separate entity, not part of the KR Mixed Media brand. And I'd like to develop more work through corporate advisories. I am a one-to-one artist with Weinberger Fine Art, but then I also work with Jan Jensen Artist. She is a wonderful person that I love to work with, and also Cowie Designs. And I love to work with interior designers and architects. I very much love creating commissions and custom work and building on colors. And I'd like to expand my collaborative work next year. I have collaborated with Heidi Herman. She's a wonderful designer, fashion designer here in town. We actually have products in the Kemper Museum shop. We do this, have pillows and scarves, and I've built the patterns for those. And then I also collaborated with Amina Weber-Hood. She's a milliner in town, and I created a pattern that she printed on a hat for the London Hat Show. And that kind of stuff really excites me. I'd love to do more of that, so I need to start planning for that for next year. And then I want to say thank you to my tribe and my community. I know your question is going to be, what can you do at the end? I'll tell you what, after leaving Kansas City and being gone for 12 years, and coming back here and virtually not being part of an artist community, I have never felt more welcome. Part of that is the Kansas City Artists Coalition. It was the first group that I came upon, and they welcomed me with open arms. I started volunteering there, and I'm on the board, and it's a great organization. If you're an artist and don't want, sign up. We have wonderful events throughout the year, boot camps, all that. But that has been an amazing resource for me because it made me feel that I could do this. I saw the success stories of other artists, and that really, really helped me. And these are just a few of the people who have made it wonderful to be an artist in Kansas City. I mean, Vanessa Lacey, Heather, and they have started their own galleries. How awesome is that? Women who are starting their own galleries, and I am thankful for them too, and the opportunity to show in their spaces. So, that's kind of it. And I'll open it up for
thank you so much, Katrina. You were talking about a plan for kind of the Instagram and how to make it more consistent.
Yes.
So there's 2 things that I've kind of gravitated towards that have really helped. One is an app called Plann, Plann, and you can actually plan out what your Instagram is going to end up looking like, so you can see the flow of it, and they have some additional help for your Instagram story, for planning out that as well. It's been huge for me. And then, strangely enough, there's a photographer, her name is Jen Kutcher, and I followed her and how she does some of her work, but she has some like classes and stuff that help with how to leverage Instagram and how to leverage some of the story portion. How to write your story, how to have your voice. She has a podcast called The Gold Digger.
Oh, cool. That sounds great.
So she helps other creative entrepreneurs as well throughout her business. So those two have been very helpful for me.
Thank you so much.
What I think maybe is missing from there, and I think I'm sure you've thought about this, but I'm wondering what you really want. What would your best ideal art career look like 5 or 10 years from now? And then figure out how to work towards those long range, so highest and best interest as an overall strategy.
I totally agree with you, Paul, because one of the things I've wrestled with is, even though I'm a one-to-one artist at Weinberger Fine Art, I'm not a full gallery artist. And do I want full gallery representation somewhere, or do I want to be in control of what I'm doing? And as you see the art world evolving, where more and more sales are really done online, Instagram, Artsy, I mean, there's all kinds of online avenues to get your work to a much wider audience. Is that something? Is that something to really aspire to have full-time representation, or not?
It's a great question.
And so that's something I've been wrestling with, because initially I had always thought that that would be one of my top goals, and I'm thinking not so much anymore. That I'm thinking that I would rather have two main avenues would be to generate with maybe having stock images on iStock or Shutterstock as a little passive income stream. And then the other side of my business is working with advisories, as I do now, but more on the interior design side and architectural design. And I'd love to also pursue work with showrooms. And that's really my true love, is interior design. And I think that's, to answer your question, I think that's where I'd like to see myself go.
And I think following your passions that way, I mean, that's how you've gotten this far. By taking your passion for graffiti and your talent and love for photography and finding a way to monetize that. And if you love getting the work to your trade, I know that.
Yes, I do.
And if you keep that sort of approach going, to expand it into your love, into your design, and your interest in reaching people sort of in their own everyday environments, and infusing those environments with the energy and the color and the feeling that you capture when you're out stalking, street art in its natural environment. That becomes a theme to your work that really pulls you along your arc and infuses what you're doing with the same kind of love and energy and creativity that will lead you to success.
Well, thank you.
When you were mentioning, being out there by yourself and not having someone, to film you or take pictures of you, take pictures of the art.
Have you looked into maybe working with documentarians? So like film school artists or professional documentarians who are doing work on, street art or graffiti work, that you could maybe like get them to film you?
That's a great idea. you know, a lot of travel, it'd be good to reach out to, say, so if I was in Melbourne, to reach out to the school in Melbourne and actually do that. That would be an excellent idea, and that was something that I hadn't ever thought about. Because I'm just so self-reliant that I sometimes it's hard to get, you're like, okay, I can do it all, I can do everything. I'm doing, you know, it is sort of that experience when you're out there alone, because a lot of my time is spent hunting down imagery. In the city, sometimes I will spend 3 days there, 6 to 8 hours a day walking, and I do a lot of research up front on where I might want to photograph, but sometimes things aren't where they're supposed to be. And like one day I walked for 4 hours looking for a specific tunnel in London, and I had the name of the tunnel, I had everything, and I kept asking people, and they're like, oh, they know, and it had turned out this tunnel had like 3 different names, which I didn't know. And so it took me a long time to find that. And sometimes that's part of the fun of it. I've had very interesting encounters with people where I was asking directions in Denver, and you can guess why this guy replied to me about where the drunken monkeys thought that where the graffiti was outside a coffee shop in Denver. And then I've had like grandmas complain to me about graffiti and say, oh, well, you just go down there towards the railroad tracks and you make a left and there's a bunch of that stuff. I don't know why you want to photograph it anyway. And I'm like, thanks, lady, that's awesome. And it turned out to be a great spot to photograph. So yeah, I've never thought about that because I'm just so used to doing it on my own and spending that time, and that's a good plan to have.
So you talked about capitalizing with your work and the pictures and all that. Is composing a book and publishing part of it? Cataloging all your photography and maybe tell your story that way as well?
I haven't really thought about a book, and I you know, it might be an idea to do that, since I have photographed in so many cities, and I certainly, it would be more of a visual storytelling type of adventure, but that's something to consider and think about and see if, you know, part of the issue is that a lot of things I capture aren't, like, I don't photograph Banksy, for instance. You know, there are several really famous graffiti artists that, like, I wouldn't be using any of their work, and I'm afraid that's probably what someone would want to see in a book.
I think for me, you know, when I see your work, I want to know more. And I know there's a lot of layers to it.
Yeah.
And I think if I were able to see like a slideshow or even just other images of your final product or how you got there and what inspired you, I think that would make me feel, that I'm experiencing what you experienced.
Oh, cool.
And at the end, that's what you want to achieve, right? You want to experience something you experienced. Like you want to bring people to your lens, to your process, to your experience, the emotions, and maybe adding that extra content with the final product would enhance that in a way. And another thing I was wondering is putting your final work back into the graffiti wall street art ever something you've thought about too. Because I think that would be an interesting loop or cycle. How you're out there doing this and eventually you see your own graffiti and work. And what does that mean, you know?
You know, and that's kind of a cool idea. You know, part of the challenge would be to go back to that city, because I'm only there like for a short time, and then I'm coming home and creating in my studio. And then also, it's interesting, since graffiti and street art changes so much, what might have been there when I shot that day, I wouldn't be able to find it again. It's going to be gone. And that's kind of part of the thing that appeals to me about what I do, because it's almost preserving a little bit of something that was there that usually gets covered up, and very frequently. But that's a cool idea. I don't know how to implement it, but it would be fun. But maybe that's something to consider here in Kansas City, where it's part of some sort of overall citywide, like art walk or something from that And that would be a fun thing to do here locally, where that would be more feasible for me to do versus traveling back to another city, far away or to the country. But I like that idea, Cheryl. Thank you so much. We're about business.
I was thinking when you were talking about process and increasing your social media presence, have you ever done a time lapse of you creating your work? Like just setting it up?
I haven't, because one of the challenges I have with that is that it starts with digital sketches that I do, which are a lot of layering, and it doesn't always end up, the final product doesn't always end up with my digital sketch. And it takes, on the time lapse, every time I transfer a photographic element, it takes 3 to 4 hours minimum drive time, usually 7 to 48 hours before I can come back to it. And so I would have to figure out how to edit that in a way that would make sense and make it interesting for the viewer to watch. But I'd have to get a little bit more tech savvy in order to do that. I haven't done that yet.
She'll be at a show, Jane, because you might want to ask Jane about how she does her time lapse, because she's known for those, and they help her really.
She does it on her iPhone.
She does?
She does all of her time lapse on her iPhone.
I do the same all the time.
Do you? Okay. We're going to have to get better at that because I just don't, we're going to have to figure this out.
We'll take our last question right here.
I have blogs and I'm on Facebook, and I get the most response and the most hits. I take one photograph a day on the progress of a work from first to finish. And that's what people find interesting. I'm not talking about videos, just take a photograph of your work. Sometimes I'll do it several times a day if I'm really working. That's all.
Your blog, so what format do you love your blog in? I'm just curious.
I'm on Blogspot and Tumblr.
Okay. And then does that link directly to Facebook and your Instagram account?
Yes.
Well, thank you, Katrina, so much for being here with us today.